Hey everyone, full disclosure just at the top here, we are going to talk about very interesting things like content updates and triple constraint theory and monetization. I'll have gameplay running in the background if you want to watch that, but this video is intended for discussion. And you have seen the thumbnail, so you know we are discussing should Crytek do an Operation Health for Hunt Showdown. In this video, we are going to talk about what is Operation Health, what are the arguments for it, what are the arguments against it, and finally answer that question, should they do it? So, some of you at this point are probably wondering, what is Operation Health? So let's start there, and I will add timestamps if you want to hop around. Operation Health was a season of Rainbow Six Siege where the developers released no new content for the game and instead focused all of their effort on bug fixes and server improvements. At the time, Siege developers were having trouble keeping up with bug fixes because the demand for new content was introducing new bugs with every large update. Another issue was that as more content was released, more people were picking up the game, which meant that server stability was going down. Essentially, Siege was being burdened by its own success. Does that sound familiar? For example, Hunt recently crossed its highest average player count in April of 2022. That's not its highest peak, but its highest average, which means more people were choosing to play the game on a regular basis. So, as I mentioned, Ubisoft's solution to their bug problem was to reduce the content on offer for the duration of Operation Health. They focused on these three pillars, which included improvements to matchmaking, tweaks to hitboxes and hit registration, improvements to server stability, and upgrading to faster servers, which actually the faster servers came sometime after Operation Health had ended. And they added a new deployment process for updates, where updates go from a technical test server to PC to console. Hunt already does something similar. And finally, bug fix sprints, where they tackled the most requested bug fixes from the community. And I spent some time going through the old Operation Health videos from the most prominent Siege channels, and generally they mark the season as successful, though maybe not hitting everything on their wish list. Now, back to Hunt Showdown. Why are people calling for an Operation Health? It is no secret that Hunt Showdown updates are kind of a mixed bag. Most recently, the update that was supposed to fix the single fire reload glitch introduced a new bug that made the Lamat a one-hit kill machine. Before that, the ladder exploit allowed cheaters to glitch their game and see through walls. Before that, a new patch glitched player bodies into the ground and created these unkillable sliding monsters. On top of those game-breaking bugs, there have been others that are annoying or exploitable, like the rendering bug that meant legendary hunters appeared further out, the concertina armored bug, and that bear trap issue that hamstrung your movement. Console players also suffered from this horrible texture bug for the longest time, and we all remember those invisible compounds, which lasted for a while. In short, Hunt Showdown updates are a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And what is important for Crytek to understand is that players are not mad about bugs existing in the game. That's just something that happens. Instead, a bulk of the criticism is either 1. That certain annoying bugs have existed in the game for a long time, like desync issues where you slide around after vaulting or get snapped into local geometry, or 2. That Crytek is pushing new monetization systems when some high priority bugs still exist in the game. For example, teasing the new Swig of Fortune DLC when the Lamat bug was gaining popularity, or adding new ways to spend blood bonds or increasing blood bond prices during new events like the Trader's Moon event when the event objectives have felt recycled. Those criticizing Crytek feel like the company is either careless, or out of their depth, or clumsy, or worst of all, conspiratorial and carrying on with their push for monetization without any regard for community feedback. I have read all of these things on the official Discord, on the subreddit, and in my own comment section. The most vocal are, in a word, frustrated with the game's performance and Crytek's handling of the product. So, what would the community like to see Crytek work on? I'm not the elected community spokesperson, but I read too much Hunt Showdown feedback, and if the request isn't for new bosses, new maps, or a gun from Forgotten Weapons, it is usually one of these 5 things. 1. Better servers. 2. Fixed desync. 3. General bug fixes whenever they pop up. 4. Improved game performance and stability. That includes frame rate, crashes, etc. And 5. Ban hackers and cheaters. Some of those are obviously connected, but you get the gist. Make game better. And the people that want an Operation Health believe that Crytek pausing content would give the devs more time and resources to work on these fixes. Also, we wouldn't have any new systems break old ones. After all, if you have been around for a while, you know these most egregious issues come on the tail end of new updates. That's when we see new bugs pop up, and to be fair to Crytek, that is also when bug fixes are deployed. Okay, I know this is kind of a long video. So far, we have talked about what exactly Operation Health is and why some sections of the community want one. Now we are going to talk about Crytek's perspective, which, keep in mind, we are discussing both sides fairly. So, this is not the shill section, but here is the game development perspective. Okay, let's do it. I am not a game developer. In fact, I am just some guy on the internet. Maybe you are subscribed, maybe you aren't, maybe you should be. I have literally zero experience developing a game. However, I do have experience managing projects with a multinational team, and one thing I apply to my big boy job is this. Commonly called a project management triangle, or just a project triangle, or the triple constraint triangle. There's a bunch of different versions of this thing, but this is the easiest one to understand. This triangle represents the competing constraints on a project and shows how they are deeply connected. So, time, cost, scope, or quality, depending which one you use. So, from a project management standpoint, let's say you want to add a new feature to the game, and it needs to be in there by the end of 2022. That's your time frame or schedule. It would be nice to have the very best employees grind this out and have it out by next week, but they will need to be compensated for overtime. So that's your cost. Alternatively, you could pay a few employees the normal rate, have the same expectation of quality, and because it is less manpower, you'll need to adjust the schedule. This is not directly linked to Crytek. It's just an example. These 3 things are closely tied together when managing a project. Okay, so expanding on this, a while back we talked about an interview Dennis did where he casually mentioned that Crytek is locked into some early decisions like the crosshair not being at the center of the screen, and that if they wanted to fix those things or change them, they could, but it would be costly and require resources, which is time and cost. And more recently, we heard in a developer stream that the blood bond market does not work for the developers. Yes, there are many avenues with which the game can earn revenue, from DLCs and game sales and blood bonds, but as we heard, the blood bond side of things is not performing as desired. It would help to talk about this section if we had the monetization update, but we don't. So more on that in a second. But thinking about this triangle, something in the cost isn't quite working, and so maybe this corner is having more of an impact on the other two than what they want. But from the developer side, we know they are working on things. We just got the new summon system. We just finished the Trader's Moon event, which has 2 new guns, the Slate and the new Army Pistol. We have new legendary hunters. We have map changes. The new anti-camping mechanic is coming. A new boss has been teased. There is stuff in the works. And the reality of software development is that it is imperfect. New software features cause new bugs. If you want a bugless new feature, new content drop, whatever, you either have to take longer to do it or spend more resources on it. That's more money, more manpower, more development bandwidth, whatever. So, Crytek has been getting flack recently for 2 reasons. Lack of content from one group of the community and lack of quality from another, while both sides are saying no more monetization. And wait, before it sounds like Crytek is eating cup of noodles and working by candlelight, I'm not saying the company is struggling, though it might be, I don't know. But Crytek also has other projects. Crysis 4 is now in development. Crysis Remastered got shipped not too long ago. If you look at the job postings for Crytek right now, most of them are for Crysis 4. There are some Hunt Showdown ones and general projects, but most of them are Crysis 4. But the dedicated Hunt Showdown community is asking for more content, more improvements, more features, and if we are being fair, scoffing at the idea that those things require more money to do, especially if you have two games that are being developed and worked on. So, Crytek is unfortunately beholden to the three constraints. Do you want these new things on time, at cost, or of high quality? Usually, you pick two. In the areas that are lacking, they might have been done quickly and with less manpower, but in the areas that are exceptional, like the gunplay, they might have been done slowly over time, but on budget and of high quality. I hope that makes sense, but the short of it is, Crytek is a company made to make money with a product we enjoy and a set amount of resources to support that product while also developing a new one. And in addition to that, as we have seen on their player count, every time Crytek drops new content, new players pick up the game. Would 2 to 3 months of stagnation really be worth it? Speaking for myself, I would rather skip the odd weekend when a bug is popping off, rather than wait 3 months for no new content. So, one more section, let's answer the question, should Crytek do an Operation Health? By this point, maybe you're seeing the big picture. Yes, Crytek needs to work on their quality control for new updates. I can't tell if I dislike the bugs more or reading streamers give hot takes about them, but I agree. I want to see better updates that don't break things. Operation Health would say don't worry about the time constraint for now or the money, instead focus mainly on the quality. Is that a realistic expectation? Probably not. I briefly mentioned the monetization update earlier, where the devs are supposed to explain what is working, what isn't, and why they have been adding more money systems to the game. In my eyes, that is officially late. I was okay with the idea that COVID delayed it. I'm sure whoever is working on it is working very hard, and I'm not even mad that it's late, but I feel like it is time to acknowledge that blog post or video is late. Hopefully, with update 1.9 on the horizon, that means we will get that information soon, because it does feel like the missing piece in figuring out what is going on here. If having more revenue systems means reducing how much the cost constraint plays in the decision making in the future, that makes sense to me. But I want Rick and Ksenia to come hold my hand and walk me through it. So, do I personally think Crytek needs to do an Operation Health? No, I think they are already working on the things we are asking for, but I think they have a lot of work to do and should be careful about their communication. Don't tease the black market if it's just a new Blood Bond store, but you haven't answered what's going on with monetization yet. Don't try to dunk on Tarkov on the very weekend a game-breaking exploit is ruining your normally great gunplay. Don't say you will update about monetization 6+ months before it is ready, and don't ship an update if it is clear that it's not ready for the public. For many people, myself included, Hunt sets a standard on the depth of its gameplay and the identity of its world, but the quality has to be there too. I think Crytek is pretty good at communicating when something goes wrong, but we can focus less on teasers and more on transparency. Because for the love of God, if one more Gamer Sups Drinkin' TTV explains how easy it is to just remove an item from the game, Crytek, I can't do it. I can't listen anymore. Okay, there is more I would love to talk about for this topic, but I feel like this is the place to end it. If you have made it this far, thanks for listening. I would love to know your thoughts about Operation Health and what you think Crytek should do. Should they pause all content and just work on bugs? Or should they just be transparent about what's going on behind the scenes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And until the next one, oh, and just kidding, TTVs, you know I love you.